Good evening from New York. And I would like to thank all of the Linux creators and Linux, Big Linux, what I use, and all of the educational videos on YouTube. Fantastic. Um, Today's topic is, look at my notes here. Inner mind communication, helplessness, feelings first. Why? Okay. Well, as you know, it's not just enough, if you want the love to flow, you gotta find out what blocks it. I've already discussed this many times with this. It's helplessness around needs, feelings, and their expression due to trauma. And one learning that helplessness by, falling out and feeling what once was impossible to feel is the goal, and it leads then to a healing process in which you realize a lot of insights, and then you realize that it's those needs which were uh, poisoned with helplessness, that those things are in the past. And you then will understand how the symbolic anti-anxiety um, help from the brain, why that was there. And so you have a lot of insights. But also, and primarily, you will understand that those needs and those circumstances in the past, and represent a kind of loss. So then you grieve the loss. That's when you can let the loss go. After letting the loss go, then you'll be able to forgive from your heart. And after that, true repentance can occur. There's a remorse over how the hurt in you hurt others, how your blocked love flow hurt other people. That's the hardest thing to feel, and not the thing you feel first. That's why a punishing attitude just isn't helpful to people. It's overload. So after that, you have this beautiful experience of being at least partially reborn. You are no longer the person who did that, obviously. So, going over that basic scenario in terms of inner mind communication as a healing process, which is essential for real change and real spiritual growth. Getting that out of the way, and in the process of doing this, you're also developing skills um, of empathy. Developing creative, objective, and compassionate empathy, which are learned skills. You're developing those things, and you're doing this in the same process as these skills. The development of them are also what helps you feel more capable and less helpless, and able to feel those things which once you could not feel. So I hope that that's fairly clear. It's feelings first. There's a lot of symbolic dancing around in the kiddie pool of the attempts to change you fundamentally, and it's that helplessness, not something you decided. It's a helplessness born of trauma that damaged faith and love, and it's that is an opportunity for all of us to help others and to grow, to know that that's the reality. Sets up on a higher, different philosophy in terms of rewards and punishment, emphasizing the rewards, emphasizing the comfort and the process for change, the healing, in other words, instead of the punishment. This is notable. In Europe, they're using this in the prison systems and so on, and it is working. So, hello. And, all right, what else? The kiddie pool approach. That's why, in my personal case and experience, I am very annoyed at people who are out of touch with their own feelings, aren't true mystics, who really have no access to their feelings much. It's all symbolic. They're still more symbolic than real in some cases, in terms of their real connections. And so, what they do is when they try to heal, is that they try to do talky therapy alone, and that can be helpful to help people understand some things. Really doesn't help with truly fundamental change in terms of the love flow. It's just not enough, and it's a light kind of approach, and for some initially that are suffering from extreme toxic helplessness, that might be the thing that they need to do. But it can tend to be, the therapy itself in that sense can tend to be more symbolic than real. It skates above feelings. And let's mention NDEs. Well, the process of the impact, let's go to the impact of trauma, is that you want to separate yourself from the immediate experience in which you feel helpless. NDEs are they might be seen as extreme neurosis. When the body itself is, you're so full of it, and it's the anxiety that does it. It's sending you so many signals, like the anxiety is overwhelming. You can have an out-of-body experience. And have they tested? Yes. People can have out-of-body experiences just because they're frightened. They have this anxiety that they're about to die. And they will have an out-of-body experience. An out-of-body experience also can be triggered by suppressing the part of the brain that locates us in space and time. So pop out of your body. In that sense, the creative artist in you is a bit like that, because it's outside of the story of your life, and it can create, new memories and so on, which is kind of nice. But the healing of the things that block the flow of love, that comes from getting past those symbols in a safe environment, so that you can finally feel and express those feelings and needs, and in doing so, go through that process of healing that I just mentioned. So, the great Arthur Janoff kind of saw that. It's feelings first. It's the feelings that give you the insights. Insights from outside don't involve that unlearning of helplessness. It's hardly at all. It's just wading in the kiddie pool. I remember recently, a counselor was just a guy that he was counseling some people, and there were actual tears. Really, so it's almost like a very neurotic kind of approach where feelings and emotions are seen as powerful and scary and of enormous impact. Just a light cry, right? That's that's kiddie pool. And swimming around, walking around. I got really close to the point where I couldn't walk around in there no more. Making real progress here, walking around in the pool. Learning to swim. Yeah, it takes a little risk to learn how to swim, and you can do it in the, in the kiddie pool, but you can't do it walking around. You have to actually start to swim in the safe kiddie pool and then move on out into deeper waters. So, that's, you feel the lighter stuff first, obviously. Um, but that leans more toward what Jennifer puts the third line. So why am I presenting this? Is I'm presenting this as an alternative help that could be much less expensive than Arthur Janoff's Great Center, which is very expensive in terms of time and money. This approach can be done lighter and over time, and leans toward another model. You're learning to not be helpless. Your strength, what some call ego strength, your self-confidence, and independence, freedom are enhanced, right? In other words, freedom from somebody taking you by the hand every step of the way. And because somebody left their body and experienced something like that, even if there's paranormal stuff attached, does not mean that they are able to help you go through or that they've been through these things. And they aren't going to be able to, train you. Their insights and whatever are as remarkable as they seem to be. That's not going to get you there. You got to, you're going to do gardening, your hands got to get dirty. You got to deal with the drama, and that drama can be toxic. Toxic helplessness. But that extreme, when I say toxic helplessness, as you know from earlier videos, I'm talking about, Jenna talks about first line pain, which can be wordless terror. It's pretty serious, and it's much more biochemically impacting. And then you might need a little bit of assistance from psychiatry. Psychology today? I don't know. I don't know. But even they have this outside to the inside approach. Mystic healing is from the inside out, which is more like what Arthur Janoff does or did. The late Arthur Janoff and his wife, his two wives, were great personages as well in this field. So, yeah. And Mate has a number of different approaches. This is one. Yeah. But it all comes down to healing from the inside going out more than just outside going in. What you want to provide from the outside is a sense of comfort. Why I see this a lot in religion is why I see religion needs to evolve from into a more mystic approach, a more inside out and experiential, rather than drawing all kinds of conclusions like you see from some people who go through NDEs. You know, we see angels, the angels have wings. Why would they need wings? You know, just, oh, yeah, it's their way of experiencing it. That doesn't mean there wasn't a reality they were touching that's outside of what we understand. Maybe so, but that's their way of seeing it, and that isn't something that it's shared. They can share across the lines of persons, and nations, and cultures necessarily. It's going to be different. So, yeah, religion divides people, and it's symbolic. It's waiting in the kiddie pool. Love, love, love. All you need is love, and blah blah. Well, what you need is to love flow, and you got to deal with what blocks it and what gets in the way. You got to get your hands involved in the drama. You got to touch and feel exactly what happened to you. That's the only way you unlearn the helplessness is by feeling those things and finding out you're okay, which means you need to break down those symbols that are keeping you distracted. And inner mind communication approach is one way of doing that. Breaks down the symbolic so that you can get in touch with the real. So, I've seen this, this kiddie pool nonsense in the religions, It's almost, it's so unreal, it's nauseating to me. Well, why would you want to have your mind trapped in a system that tells you what to think? Why not study how to think and get to real understanding? And how do you know somebody knows something? Because they tell you they know? Because they had a near-death experience? Um, you don't know that. The only thing a mystic does is invite you to a path, that you can follow. I think the most efficient and most modern approach in mysticism is inner mind communication. It's theory and practice. I hope it develops into a full profession. But one thing that I had a problem with is the cost. And you don't want to be have things that are too costly. It has to be affordable. That's why I love Linux. Shout out to Linux. I like, that there's nobody hiding behind the curtain. Code is out there to, for anybody to improve on and work on. Same thing with inner mind communication. Nothing hidden, and no pompous, I know, follow me. What? Experience it for yourself. You know, find us what you think is safe and go up the mountain and see for yourself what would you see at the top of the mountain. Not have somebody come down from the mountain and give you an explanation. Would you consider that a real vacation? I'm thinking of these two fellas that in the joke where they're not big thinkers, and the one brother said he would go inside and see the movie, come out and talk about it. The movie was expensive, right? And tell the other what happened. Well, a bit of an inferior experience on the part of the one that heard the rundown rather than seeing the actual movie. So I just, it's like, oh, water's wonderful. Water's like, let's do a ceremony and throw water in the air. Let's uh, let's go and bless the water. Come on, you know, people have died. I'm going to fling some blessed water on the graves. That's going to help them out. Really? I'll believe that when they come out of that grave. Shock us all. Never in recorded history or any tested situation has anybody truly died and come back. NDEs are what happens to people when they get really close to death. And is there a commonality to it? Yeah, of course. We're human beings and the brains are very similar. Are there cultural differences? You bet. Occasionally, are there things that seem to be paranormal? Yeah. But the honest answer to that is you really don't know why that happened. You don't, do you? And isn't honesty a virtue? Honesty is part of trust, which is, I call that virtue trust. Honesty is part of that. The trust says, adds a little bit of why. If you don't trust, you're not going to be honest, are you? You're in defense mode. And setting up defense mode and beating, on the part of the offender and beating them over the head to cure them is a pretty stupid idea. It just is. Um, ask Sapolsky. That's dumb. Ask Dr. Mate. Eh, that's nuts. So, I find to myself, this I love to see that churches become extended family organizations that are effective. I know a lot of them are going to be a little bit on the sick side, but I got to say, as you get healthier, you just that kind of paddling around and symbolic love, you know. Oh, give everybody a hug, you know. Reach out to the universe and send your love, send your energy. What are you talking about? Ask a physicist if you're going to use the word energy. Thank you. I mean, what do you mean, energy? Um, well, if there is an energy there, prove it. Show us. I don't see it, and I don't experience it. I experience the intensity of emotion. And, is that what you mean by energy? Yeah, it's electrical. Yeah. However, actually, a lot of that memory and function of the brain can be apart from the neurons themselves. I believe. I think there's some experiments to that effect, or it's a plausible theory at some point. But don't quote me. Don't believe anything I say unless you really test it out yourself. And take a look. Look at things from a lot of perspectives. It's why I really love Switch to Linux. That young fellow. He said I look at things from lots of perspectives. That's the artist. Yeah, and that's where you can start with a sense of safety um, and control, where you are creating experiences for yourself, and that can be very helpful. All of the 6 approaches of inner mind communication slowly wear down the ability of the wily brain to use symbolism to distract you from unlearning that helplessness. Why does it do that? Because, well, first of all, it saved your life. Channel clearly pointed out in one of his books, in a few of his books. It saved your life early on because the anxiety would otherwise sicken or kill you. So it's a survival memory, and getting past it is not a dip in the pool. It's a long swim and a lot of trust and communication that brings out those feelings. So everything in inner mind communication is about feeling direction. Feelings first, insights later. Otherwise, you're pasting on insights of someone else onto yourself. And how do you really know whether that insight is the thing you need? How do you know that? Ask yourself that question. Huh? How do you know? You don't. You know, it's your brain that is, what's up? That created this symbolic thing. And it's your brain that will unravel it when it's safe to do so. Yeah. And so with, he says nothing changes without force and violence. That scares people a little bit, but really what he's saying is that, there has to be pressure involved. There has to be revolutionary coming at yourself from a lot of different perspectives. And you can get to feelings. One of the feelings that I dealt with was feelings of helplessness and the real pain of loneliness, helplessness to have a loving presence is. And it was so bad that as a kid, I created a family of my own, right? Like a near-death thing. Family of my own. Imaginary family that I knew was imaginary, but it comforted me. And calling out for that help from loving figures in my mind helped me a lot. Because I was able to feel that. And I was able to see and understand some of my behaviors that were based on overprotectiveness of my children in some cases, and because I'm just in panic mode all the time. ACEs does that too. I'm just in the drama, passing on, seeing that as a threat to my children. They're in threat all the time. Don't let them, cross the street at any age. Not a good parent. It's not the way to do things. And that pain was not my decision. And I wasn't in some heavenly realm and chose that. Wow, come on. So anyway, but yeah, it was it was a very insightful thing for me. And seeking the help, and seeking association, um, to curb the loneliness. A lot of that is what drives people to religion. They want that extended family, but unfortunately, what's out there may not be as supportive as it needs to be. A really very helpful healing direction. Healing is revolutionary. And our healing professions, they're revolutionaries. They're what is taking us to the next level. And the researchers in healthcare, bless them all. Who's doing the blessing? Well, kind words that maybe they will hear if we say thank them now and then. All right. So I just wanted to get that out to you. Um, one of the things that, as a healer, what are you going to do? It's like Jesus said when he was hanging out with the people that were in a lot of pain, the sinners. And he was asked why you're hanging out with these folks. He says, the healthy don't need a physician, the sick do. So that's one of the things that in the healing professions, you got to be willing to deal with the sick. And there's one healer I talked to one time, he says, I know uh, there's something I want to say, and I know I probably just shouldn't say it. And we said, well, we know what you're going to say. She says, sometimes I just hate sick people. It's like, of course. Hurting people are very more selfish. They're more involved with themselves, right? Of course they are. When you're in a lot of pain, try a toothache. Where's your mind going? to, to yourself and doing something about that pain. Oh, yeah, we tend to be a little selfish. And, they can be very symbolic, just really out there. And, doing silly sorts of things that really nauseating. It's like toxic love. It's like symbolic love. So, like, if you're hurting, the last thing you need for somebody to go, oh, Presto Chango, here's some water. I'm going to sprinkle it on you. Well, that might help them a little bit. You didn't cure the disease. Anyway, unless something miraculous happens, and that sort of thing's pretty hard. So anyway, let's end this with my normal finish, which is all the love in me, flow in me, all that is wonderful in me and my brain honors that in you. Namaste and goodbye.